Hey folks, Keith here at Chicken Thigh Fishing. Welcome back. Today's video, we're going to install retractable rod straps. Stick around. My boat came with bungee type rod straps to strap your rods and secure them on your deck when you're on plane. I didn't like those so much because they were always attached from the anchor end to the hook end, and I would step on them frequently, and a bunch of times I knocked them off, and a couple times I broke them, and I ended up having to crazy glue them into the ends and stuff. So I elected to go with a retractable rod strap. So what we're using is the retractable rod buckle from Boat Buckle. And as you can see here, I have already installed on the port side of my boat, the first one. I like this a lot because it retracts when it's not in use and it doesn't take up much deck space, so I like it. It was a little tricky on this particular boat. Naturally, all boats are different. They have different structures and different voids underneath the deck that you can work in. With the 2021 Tracker TXW, it was a bit tricky because what I had intended to do was put the strap on this side and the anchor point on this side so I could pull it out from here. A lot of people put it in the wall of their gunnel, but you can't do that with this tracker boat because there's no void in here. This actually goes through to the outside wall of the boat, so there's nowhere to put the rod buckle inside the gunnel, so you can't do it that way. So I was going to do it into the deck, insert it into the deck, and then pull it this way, but I found it to be nearly impossible to get to this side of the underneath of my deck. Underneath here are all the tubes for the rod holders, the rod tubes for the rod lockers, and they are all nicely encased in spray-in foam. So in order to access this side of my deck, I would have to remove all the foam. I would have to remove the faceplate in my rod locker, so then I could remove all the rod tubes to get to this wall and install it here. So then when I took a look at it, I figured it didn't make much difference to install it going from this direction to this direction. So the only place I had to get underneath my deck was right here immediately next to my foot pedal tray, which was fairly easy. And then of course the anchor point, I don't have to get underneath. You can just screw that to your deck. On this tracker, I have 3/4 inch plywood is the deck up here. So it was easier to do it this way, so we went with that. So what we're going with here is the rod buckle from Boat Buckle, the retractable. So this is your unit. The retractable buckle coils up inside the housing here, and you cut a hole in your deck and put the housing in there, and this is the part that shows on your deck. This is the anchor point, and they include the screws, of course, to screw down to your deck. Now, I didn't so much want that much surface area of something taking up space on my deck, and so I found that the Boat Buckle rod buckle comes with a conversion kit. And so you can see here, using the conversion kit, this is all you see, as opposed to this being on the top of your deck. So I thought that was a much sleeker, slimmer design. It's a little bit more tricky because the whole rod buckle housing goes underneath the deck, and you use this conversion kit. Kind of go over how we use this here. So first of all, you have to remove this buckling section from the strap itself, and that is a little bit tedious doing, but I found if you use a pair of needle nose pliers, it goes a little bit easier. Of course, you want to be careful with that so you don't tear the strap. But what you do is you take this off here, okay, and the conversion kit comes with a replacement. Okay, so this takes the place of this, and what that does is it allows you to put this underneath the deck. You attach the handle to the strap, and it's so thin that it allows you to pull it up through it. And when you pull it up through it, you can now have the strap through there and you can attach it. So we'll go over that when we do the install on the starboard side. And of course it comes with the screws, and it comes with the template. So you put this, after you make your measurements and get it exactly where you want, put this on your deck, and that is the hole you need to cut to accommodate the conversion faceplate. So once again, instead of having this on your deck, you're going to have this on your deck, and this is what it looks like. So even though it's a bit more work and it's a bit more tricky, I went with that for the sleeker design, if you will, and less space taken up on my deck, less surface area for me to step on when I'm fishing on the deck. So what we're going to do is go ahead and set up on the starboard side, because we've already got it here on the port side. Now I strap my rods down predominantly on my port side for the obvious reason that you have your driver's console on the starboard side, and so you have more room to lay down longer rods here and strap them down. On my boat in particular, it's a 17.5-foot boat. I don't have a heck of a lot of room up on the deck. On the starboard side, I can only fit, if I canter them the right way, if I put them towards the corner of the console, I can fit a 7-footer there, but mostly I would put 6.6 rods on that side. But I can put anything on this side because you have the room to be able to lay them down and not have them bowed or in your way where you might inadvertently step on them. So I did the port side first, and I'm going to get everything together. I'm going to lay out the template on the starboard side, and I'll show you how we went about doing this on the Tracker TXW 2021. Okay, so to give you an idea what we're looking at here, so I took out the foot pedal tray for the trolling motor, and that's a simple removal. I think there were 10 screws that hold that into the wooden deck. And so if you can see in here, you can see I have a metal beam that goes across here. I have to get on the other side of that metal beam with this rod buckle housing. I have to go underneath to the other side and bring it up to here. I've taped off, I measured off, and I taped off where I'm going to put the hole in the deck. And you know, I can't emphasize enough that anytime you're putting holes in your boat, measure 2, 3, 4, 5 times, because you can't unhole a hole once you make it. So it always makes me nervous putting holes in a boat, but I'm pretty confident that I have the measurements here to match on the starboard side where I put it on the port side, so it's symmetrical on either side of my foot tray. So like I said, I have to get this under this beam and on the other side of it so I can attach it to this on the top of the deck. I have to cut the hole in the template to accommodate that narrower piece underneath there. So that narrower piece goes sub deck, and the top is what you attach to the deck, and that's all you see on your deck. So you can see, you can probably see the foam in here. So I couldn't get, like I said earlier, to the wall to put it from that side. So I'm going to put it from this side going that way, and it's still going to serve the same purpose, just not how I initially intended to install it. But of course, like most things, once you get underneath and you see what you're dealing with, sometimes you have to have a change in your game plan. So, and then a word of caution also, if you're doing it on this type of tracker boat, understanding that you have to put this on the other side of that metal beam in order to accommodate it. You have to make sure you get your measurements right, because what you're going to do is you're going to attach this piece here to the housing by 2 screws, and you have to measure the width of this. So I had to accommodate the width from the edge of the wooden deck here. I had to measure this beam, which is 1.5 inches, and then I had to measure the distance from the edge of this to where we're going to actually be screwing into this, which added another 1/4 inch to it. So what I ended up doing was going 3 inches from the edge of the carpet and the wood here on both sides, and that gave me enough clearance to stick this whole housing up against it. So that worked on this side, so I'm going to duplicate that on this side. What I'm going to do is use a drill, and a 3/8 bit is about the same width as the channel on the template. So I'm going to drill a hole on each end of the template, so I have a pilot hole, and I'm going to use a jigsaw, and I'm just simply going to make a couple of cuts and cut out that cylindrical rectangle shape that this fits into. Let's go ahead and do that and make some holes in the boat. So as you can see, when I drilled into that template, because it was paper, the drill sent it flying, but I'm able to line it back up and remeasure to put it in the location I want for the second drill hole. Okay, so now I have 2 drill holes at either end of where that conversion adapter is going to go in, and I'm just going to use my jigsaw to cut the length in between. There we go. So now I just have to line up underneath and get it going. But first, I'm going to get the housing ready by attaching the piece of the conversion kit that goes here. Okay, so to give you a little bit better idea of what it looks like. So you take this piece of the conversion kit, that's that black piece I showed you earlier, and it fits on, it only fits on one way on top of the housing of the rod buckle kit. You simply screw it into the 2 holes. You can't miss on that. However, there is one curious thing about this, is that the screws that they include in the rod buckle kits are only 3/4 inch. And it doesn't seem to me that they can work for the application of using the conversion kit. Of course, if you were to only use the unit to screw directly to your deck, the 3/4 inch would work fine. But if you're going through what I would have to guess on most boats is 3/4 inch plywood, I don't know how they intend you to be able to use a 3/4 inch screw. So I grabbed some matching screws that were 1.25 inches, and that seems to do the trick. And as a matter of fact, the screws that they include to attach this piece to this piece aren't hardly long enough. Again, they are 3/4 inch, and as you can see, that will just barely grab the housing when you attach this piece. So I put longer screws in there, and it really doesn't matter because that's going to be underneath the deck and you're not going to see that or run into it, so it's not a problem to do that. So as you can see, I took the piece that came in the conversion kit, I removed this from the strap, and again, the reason you have to do that is because it has to go through this slot, and clearly this is not going to fit through that slot. So they give you this piece in the conversion kit so you can slide the strap through the slot before you screw it down, because if you screw this down before you have the strap through the slot, you're gonna have to undo it because you have to bring the strap through it again. So so we have the hole in order to fit this, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and pull the strap through. So hopefully I'm going to do this in a manner in which you can see it. So underneath the deck, this is going to look like this. First I'm going to pull the strap through. Alright, I got the strap through there, but that was a little bit tricky because when I was sticking it through with the plastic piece from the conversion kit, I grabbed it with my needle nose pliers and I broke it. So what I had to do was go in and grab the strap itself. Now I'm going to stick the strap through the conversion kit faceplate, and then so it doesn't retract through itself, we will put the handle back on it. And this is a little tough, but with a little manipulation you can get it, because the strap is made out of some pretty tough material. There we go. So now you can let it go and you won't lose it underneath the deck. So now what we have to do is I have to take the 1 1/4 screws, go through here, through the deck, and into the 2 holes that will receive it on the housing of the retracting strap housing. And that is a little easier said than done when you can't see it. So here's a look at what we're doing. The screw is going to go through there and into here and into here. All right, we are attached. So there you have it. So the housing is attached underneath, conversion plate on top, strap here. Now we're going to put the anchor point over here. I'm going to line it up so it's straight, and then we'll be good to go. I'll clean it up and we'll show you the finished product. Okay, we're all cleaned up. We have the anchor point installed. This is what it looks like. So they went in quite nicely. A little bit tricky, and like I said, in reverse where we wanted them to be, because I wanted the retractable end here, or rather the retractable end here and the anchor point here. But as I said, we couldn't do that on this boat without doing some serious dismantling underneath. So there you have it retracted, so it's not that in the way. And again, it's going to be up here where I'm not going to be stepping a whole lot of the time. And so that's what they look like when they're disengaged. So the install went very well, and it is sometime after the install right now, and I use them every time I go out fishing, and I really, really love them. But as it turns out, I made a mistake during the install, so I want to show you what I messed up on and how I fixed it. So if you recall, when I put the rod buckles in, I wanted them up to the front of the boat as much as possible so they would be out of my way. Well, I forgot to account for the length of the rod handles that they would be securing. Let me show you. So I originally had them up here in the front of the boat, but I didn't account for the rod handle length, and so when the strap came across my rods, it came across behind the reel. Now ideally I wanted the strap to come in front of the reel like this, so it's that much more secure in the event that the rods wanted to go anywhere, whether I was on plane, on the water, or on the highway, or whatever. So I originally had them way up here. Didn't work out. So in a nutshell, I had to redo the job. Fortunately, after doing it the first time, I knew how to do it, so it was fairly easy to do, just a little time consuming. But what I had to do now was I had to account for the holes I made for the first one. So what I did there was I went to the hardware store and I bought a couple of mending plates. I primed them, I painted them with a gloss black enamel so they'd be a little resilient, and so they would match the boat and not be an eyesore on the deck, and this is what they look like. So you can see there is where I had the old one, where it would come across here behind the reel, and I reinstalled them up here in front of the reel, so it just is more secure. So if your rods wanted to go this way for some reason, that's gonna stop it. Whereas before, if I had them across here, I suppose it's conceivable that the rods could come out from underneath the strap if there wasn't enough pressure. However, I have found that they hold well, they have a lot of pressure, and I can put one rod here, or I can put 10 rods here and reach it over them, and it works terrific. So anyway, I just wanted to share that mistake with you so you don't make the same mistake. And I guess I was just going a little too quick and I didn't lay it out properly. If I laid it out properly, I would have laid it out with the rods in place and I would have noticed that, and it wouldn't have caused me that problem. So I had to do the job all over again. So anyway, I hope that helps you. I hope you don't make the same mistake I made, and it's definitely worth it to get the rod buckles. They're a fantastic little invention and they work terrifically. I also like the recessed adapter kit that goes along with it. So this is all that you see. As opposed to that big plastic plate if you don't use that adapter. And so all in all, it's good. I just had to do it twice. So hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helps you out. If you want to get this product, it's a pretty easy install. I imagine it's easier on some other boats than it was on my boat, for the reasons that I pointed out while I was making the video. But hey, you live and you learn. We'll see you next time, folks, and until then, stay fishing, my friends.